This is Dr. Roger Elmer, Advanced Neurospinal Solutions, and this is Ask the Doctor. And the question was, why does peppermint up the nose work for so many different issues? And then a secondary question, why do some people get very dry and scratchy throats after peppermint up the nose? Excellent question. So let's start with peppermint up the nose. So the sense of smell is one of the most important neurological developmental levels in terms of controlling the rest of the nervous system. Remember, I've said many times before, the stuff that's on the top governs the stuff that's below it. The stuff that's on the outside governs what's on the inside. So the most primitive stuff is deep inside. And so we tend to look at the brain and we say, this is the top, but it's not. When we were developing inside our moms at the beginning, we were like this, and notice what's up here. These are called the olfactory bulbs. This is where the sense of smell is, and it's way out front here. And way out front, it's way on the top. And then the brain gathered mass, and it flopped forward. So this is the top. With respect to the brain, it's what we call telencephalonic. And so what we're going to look at here is, what do those pathways do? The sense of smell can turn on multiple areas within the brain. One of the biggest things that I'm interested in doing is to turn on blood flow. The thing that we do before then is, if we want to use the laser, we'll turn on the cells internally before we do that. But I'm always thinking, turn on the blood flow of the area or areas that I'm going to work with. And so if I want to turn on the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, I'm going to turn on the sense of smell, because it goes through the frontal lobe into the temporal lobe. But also I'm going to turn on blood flow to that entire area, because the blood flow that goes to the front of the brain and supplies 85% of the brain comes from the internal carotid artery. It goes to your eyeball, and then it comes back and supplies the anterior and middle cerebral arteries. And like I say, 85% of the real estate of the brain. The other part comes from in the back, inside the bones in your neck, called the vertebral arteries, and it literally sits on top of your brainstem, that pink thing there, and then goes up and it supplies the underside of your brain, the occipital lobe, and particularly the underside of the temporal lobes, which is where your memory is. So and that's really important, for other issues. But why do we use it for so many different things? Well, actually, we're not using it for so many different things. We're using it to turn on specific areas of the brain and turn on blood flow. Blood flow being my most important issue. So you can have a lot of different issues. You can have a lot of different things going on. You can have even pathological processes going on. But I want to turn on the blood flow to that area, and I want to turn on the area itself. And so if I want to turn on the frontal lobe, peppermint up the nose. Now, what's the difference between just smelling peppermint and peppermint up the nose? Smelling peppermint does actually work, and you can try it on your own. Smell the right versus left. Is one weaker than the other? I think you'll notice that if you find one is weaker, if you'll, like, let's say it's your right side that's weaker, if you'll take your thumbs, one in the center here and one on the outside, and you look out and back and out and back, compare it to out and back and out and back in the other direction, likely pointing it outward this way, having your eyes go outward, we call it saccading, is going to be weaker. Why? Because the right frontal lobe shoots the eyes in the opposite direction. Then you can smell it, and when you do that, after you've taken 4 or 5 whiffs, then try it again, and you'll notice that it's a little easier, because you turn on the blood flow to the area, but you've also turned on the area turn on the area by asking it to shoot the eyes. Very interesting. So that you can tell the difference there. Why do I put peppermint up the nose? Because I want it to last. I want the patient to experience that we put the oil, that peppermint oil on the inside of the nose, and they keep smelling it throughout the day. And as it continues to build up that part of the blood flow and those areas within the brain, so that it has a lasting impact on the neuroplasticity and the change in the blood system, which we call angiogenesis. All those changes will take place, but they need to happen. You need to have those inputs continuously happening. And so that's why we do that. Why do they get a scratchy throat? Because we put it up there and it goes down the back of their throat, and sometimes that's a little uncomfortable. But the outcome is so much better than if we hadn't done it. So hope that answers your question. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. We'd love to answer them, and remember, we're here to help you when you're ready to take your life back.